questions, please, apart from Muhammad Abdul Rashid and Mr. Bashir here? If anyone else has a question to ask, most welcome. Please. Go to the microphone.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions. The first one is that with reference to Anamta alayhim, Khalid Maghzubi alayhim wa Razali, and the rewards promised. Is it possible for Jews to have those rewards after the coming of Jesus Christ, or the Christians to have them after the advent of Muhammad, peace be upon him? Or
if they accept Islam, yes, otherwise not.
With reference to Joan of Arc, for instance.
The style of this verse tells that the only way open now for the world is to obey Allah and obey this prophet, the prophet. مَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Only these would be counted among those who have been rewarded previously by Allah. So that is as far as the reward goes. As far as forgiveness and gift from Allah, undeserved gift which is not necessary for anyone to earn. Allah is the owner, proprietor of everything. He is the possessor. So nobody can stop him from that. Moreover, this verse is applicable only to those who are in a capacity or in a position to obey Allah and to obey Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those people who are not in a capacity, for instance, who have never heard of it, or they were never given chance to be convinced if they ever heard of it, they are exempt from this because other verses in the Holy Quran apply to them. So it does not mean that they cannot be treated as salihin, because the Holy Quran tells us that there are others among Christians who are very pious people, and also there are very good people among the Jews, and salihin also are such as are good in the eyes of Allah. So that means that there are many other religions, there are good people everywhere. So there is no monopoly to goodness in Islam. If somebody believes that, that is Mullahism, that is not the Holy Quran's teaching. But the Holy Quran tells us that if somebody is in a position, fortunate enough, to accept Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he does not try to oppose him through illogical attitude, that is also understood. If somebody takes a stupid stance and a bigoted stance or an illogical stance, then he is responsible. But if this is a precondition, this is understood, a man is normal, he behaves like a muttaqi, that is, he has a fear of Allah, and before taking his decisions, as far as he goes, he is quite right. Then if he sees, he finds an opportunity of accepting Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will positively do that. It's impossible for a right-minded person who has the opportunity to accept Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he still resists or refuses to accept. This is not a possible situation, because this situation is governed by the first verse of the Holy Quran. Hudal lil muttaqin. So muttaqin here means the right-minded person who is rightly inclined. This is the very first definition of muttaqin. So if such a person receives the message of the Holy Quran and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would definitely accept it, because it's a promise in the very first verse of the Holy Quran that he will definitely be guided. Also in other places there is such promise. Allazina jahadu fina lanahdiyannahum subulana. Those who genuinely try to seek our ways, we will definitely lead them to the righteousness. Positively, there is such a strong promise, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. So, guided by these verses, the situation which I can conceive is this, that any right-minded person who receives the message of the Holy Quran does definitely accept it. So he falls under that category which you mentioned, or which I mentioned perhaps. أُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِم مِّنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ. That was the first question. So those who do not have that opportunity, to those this verse will not apply, because that will be very unjust on the part of Allah. The concept of Allah we have is not at all unjust. He is extremely merciful and forgiving and forbearing. So for such people, there are other verses, and they are very clearly applicable to them. So as far as the mankind is concerned in general, it has no complaint to make, no genuine complaint to make against this principle.
Another question.
Yes, please.
The cycle of Adam is described to be some close to 7,000 years, and Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born so roughly around 5,000 years afterwards. And the life of Earth is estimated to be 50,000 of the life as it exists, and there are mentions that there probably were other Adams who preceded.
How many years?
Some people say it's 50,000 years. The human race has existed on Earth. Probably.
Has existed many 100,000 years before. Not 50,000, many 100,000 years. It's more than a few 100,000 years.
There were references, for instance, I think I read Ibn Arabi, who said that there were other Adams who preceded this. Is that cycle repeated in each Adam's generation of having a Muhammad peace be upon him or a Muslim?
No, it's not possible, because the history is conserved and preserved. The history of mankind is discernible by the marks it has left behind. And that history tells us that there is a constant evolution of consciousness, behavior, discipline, and refinement of human character. It's a continuous evolution despite many historical setbacks here and there, and many pitfalls, yet the overall trend is upwards. So, for this 1,000 years, 7,000 years, the peak reached at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So any earlier period as such is inferior to this period, because it's lagging behind in time. So none like him could have ever appeared. It's impossible. And because during his time, the ultimate purpose of religion is to be achieved in the culmination of the entire mankind accepting one religion. That is, a full circle will be completed. Man started in religion with one God without any division or schism or factions. When the first revelation was made, they were all one together under one God. There is one Tawheed, one Kaaba, one everything. And then diversification took place according to the Holy Quran. It went on and on. And ultimately, in a much bigger way, mankind would be brought together, but with not so easily as that in the first place, but after a very great sacrifice and human effort, under the banner of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we started our journey from Khana Kaaba. Mankind would end up its journey at Khana Kaaba. Once that ultimate purpose is achieved, then if the mankind chooses to go astray once again, it will be rejected. No other